Good morning, Signature TV. We know that checkpoints are traditionally established to prevent crime, maintain law and order, and enhance public safety. However, their implementation has often raised, questions about their effectiveness and fairness. To discuss checkpoints this morning, the bridge between security and extortion, we have our guest, Larry Oguego, human rights activist. Good morning and welcome, Mr. Larry.
Good morning. It's my pleasure and my privilege.
As usual, we have you. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Do you think checkpoints in Nigeria are still fulfilling their intended purpose, or have they deviated into tools of extortion, into tools of control and harassment? What's your take on that?
I think checkpoints have become a necessary evil in Nigeria. Necessary because truth is, when I travel through certain places, I'm relieved when I see a checkpoint because of insecurity. That's the truth. I'm a peculiar breed of Nigeria, so I don't worry about extortion and harassment. So I'm relieved because I'm like, okay, if we have these checkpoints here, then it's likely that I won't have kidnappers or bandits next door. And that's an assumption that may not always hold, but at least I prefer that assumption.
It's on the
But
safer
then,
side.
for the ordinary Nigerian, when they see a checkpoint, there is this palpitation. There's this fear that you don't know what next. The objective of a checkpoint is to provide security, to make you feel secure, feel safe. Unfortunately, the same checkpoints also make people feel insecure for different reasons. And like I've always said, there are some people who may never meet armed robbers or bandits in an entire lifetime. Of course, we're very spiritual people, so we pray about it. And some people believe, I know, God forbid, I won't ever meet an armed robber. I won't ever meet a kidnapper. And a lot of people don't. However, it's impossible not to meet policemen at checkpoints. So why I said it's a necessary evil is because it's necessary to have security presence. And truth be told, they have also been able to keep certain bad patches of our roads safe. But on the other hand, they have also become such a nuisance that a journey to Oka that would ordinarily take about 40 minutes now takes an average of 2 hours. I've been in a position on 2 occasions where I had to intervene to go to the soldiers at a military checkpoint to talk to them. On one occasion, there was absolutely no reason why they shut the checkpoint down. As in, nobody was passing, there was no traffic. I couldn't fathom what was happening. And when I was approaching them, people were telling me, no, God, don't go there or this. I just went to them, asked them, so who is the boss here? And when I spoke with the man, I realized there was no particular reason. It appears that particular checkpoint has a penchant for punishing people. It's in front of a market. I've had very unpleasant experiences there. Sometimes you stay there for up to 40 minutes for no reason. So people have bad experiences. You see people being punished, forced to clean their camp, being brutalized sometimes, flogged and all that. And for me, insecurity is not only when a person is shot at with a machine gun. Insecurity also means being beaten up, being harassed, being made to feel insecure, if you want to take it literally. So I say it's a necessary evil because it's important, but at the same time, it's not doing the job for which they were set up. And that is unfortunate. Even if you look beyond the security side and the human rights abuses, you notice that they are so indifferent to how we feel. I don't know if you've noticed that sometimes you see a policeman chatting with a driver for up to 5 minutes, and vehicles will just wait patiently and be watching them. On one occasion, I had to flash my light and honked on, and the man asked me, who is doing that? I said, I am. And it became an issue. But you can't be exchanging pleasantries while cars are piling up and we're waiting for you, or you're begging someone for money. So we have a situation where we need the checkpoints to at least keep the roads reasonably safe. But we also don't want a situation where we solve one problem and create another.
Okay, now, I've traveled, and traveling through the north, you hardly find checkpoints. And if you find them, they're at strategic locations, and then they do what they need to do, and then they let you pass. But coming down to the southeast, you tend to find a lot of checkpoints. Of course, we understand about is the issue of kidnapping and all of that. But then, how do you think this gives an outlook to the southeast? That you have to come to the southeast. There's a lot of checkpoints, especially if you're traveling from Benue inside Enugu. There is a whole lot of checkpoints there, and they take you a lot of time. Just like you said, a journey of 40 minutes becomes 2 hours when we're not the children of Israelite anymore. So what do you think, or how do you think this reflects on the Southeast?
The first thing I want to point out is that I don't think we have these checkpoints in the Southeast primarily because there's kidnapping and insecurity. I personally think we have more insecurity in the North than in the Southeast. That's my perspective. I may be wrong,
yes.
But if you look at the news, if you look at the number of incidents of banditry and all of that, you would expect them to have more checkpoints than we do. That's my thought. But I think what drives checkpoints in the Southeast is the economic benefit for the people who collect money at checkpoints. And I stand to be corrected. We don't look at the fact that money is a very powerful incentive. In life, generally, people want money. And where there are no consequences for wrongdoing, people want money and they do anything and everything to make money. I suspect that the most significant reason we have checkpoints all over the place in the Southeast is because we are too quick to part with money. If you set up 1 million checkpoints in the North, and you set up 100 in the Southeast, the 100 in the Southeast will make more money than the 1 million in the North. Because the average Northerner will not give you money. Yes. That's the truth of the matter.
Very true.
So I think we need to also understand that part of the challenge is the willingness of Ndi Igbo to quickly part with money. Either because we are afraid or because we are in a hurry, we don't want to waste time. An Igbo man will tell you that I'm making money so that if I have a problem, I'll solve it. And this is a problem. In fact, people actually keep money for the road. I will tell you something that will surprise you. Last week, we got a complaint in our office from a group of lorry drivers that move produce from Benue to different parts of the Southeast, especially Owerri, Port Harcourt, Omuahi, and all of that. They move foodstuff and all that. They came officially to complain that Human Rights Volunteer Corps should help them, that they spend between 180,000 and 200,000 on checkpoints as soon as they enter the Southeast. We're not just talking about harassment now. We are talking about the cost of food in Nigeria. So a man is moving 2 bags of yam from Benue to Owerri, and police checkpoints add 1,000 naira per tuber of yam to the cost of yam. And we're only looking at waste. We're looking at how to manage storage of food. We are looking at improved seedlings and all that. We are not looking at the fact that apart from bad roads, that just checkpoints add 1,000 naira per tuber of yam that you consume. That checkpoints in the Southeast add maybe 500 naira per watermelon you buy. It's that bad. I'm telling you a real complaint that we are figuring out how to deal with. He said, their leader said that they pay a minimum of 1,000 naira per checkpoint. And that one of their colleagues was shot and killed about 2 years ago over argument that he said, I've exhausted the money I have. And it degenerated into an argument and he lost his life. I asked him if they reported. He said that they didn't have the political clout to drive the process through. And they were afraid they were going to be victimized further if they reported. So they didn't even report the incident. So it's not about just the insecurity in the Southeast. I think that we as a people, in my opinion, that may be considered a controversial opinion, but I don't think we have done enough as a people to stop the extortion. Yes, how do I mean? We put out petitions. We talk about these things casually. We have not done evidence-based advocacy. We have gadgets, we have cameras, we have all sorts of things. We have dash cams. And we see boys collect money for the military at the checkpoints. If they're listening to me now, they know. And these boys are even more arrogant and rude than the soldiers. Sometimes they assault drivers. These are just boys who pretend to be selling bottled water before now. Now they don't pretend anymore. They just collect money for the military. The police don't hire anybody to collect money. They don't trust anybody to collect their money for them. They collect it themselves. They give you change if necessary and all of that. And we have not done enough beyond occasional complaint on social media. As a people, we should be able to make a case, collect evidence, which is not difficult, show the evidence. A documentary on what happens in the Southeast will make international news. And it's not difficult to collect that evidence. But it requires resources. Some of the billionaires who are complaining can fund it. And even if the policeman is listening to me or the soldier is listening to me, it's still not difficult to get evidence of these things because they do them with impunity. In broad daylight, they will bring out money from their pockets, count money, give you change, exchange banter in broad daylight. So I think we should do more. Part of the challenge we have is that the leaders and the political elites in the Southeast are really not interested in the welfare of the ordinary person. I don't know how else to say it, but that is the truth. Because when they come to these checkpoints, they have their escorts, they bypass the traffic jam, get to the checkpoint and cross, and the rest of us will be stuck. So they don't feel our pain. I've always said it. If our leaders will feel our pain for a moment, a lot of things will change. But they don't feel our pain. They don't pay for their flight tickets, so they don't know that it's expensive to fly. They don't pay for petrol, so they don't care about the cost of petrol. They don't pay for food. They feed at the expense of the rest of us. They don't stand in traffic. They use helicopters when the roads are too bad. So they don't feel our pain at all. They don't feel what we feel. That's why sometimes they even crack jokes about how we feel. You know, so they say, if you see food, you eat all you can, because, you know, times are hard. They laugh at the rest of us. And that tells you that we need to do more as a people. Ndi Igbo should be able to stop this madness. Now, does it mean we shouldn't have checkpoints? No. In Stena climbs, you have checkpoints, but they don't go harassing people. I was in Kenya not too long ago, and because of terrorism threats, they beefed up their security. And I was so impressed with their checkpoints. You barely see them. They are there by the roadside, kitted, ready to move at the drop of a pin. The airport security was fortified. You have to drive your car through a section. Everything is organized to improve security, but you don't feel threatened because you don't even encounter the weapon. You don't encounter the military personnel or the special forces, but they're there. And that is how security should be. Security shouldn't make me feel insecure because they are protecting me. So I think we need to get to that point where we say, oh, do we need checkpoints, especially along roads that are desolate? Yes. Should they block traffic and be harassing people? No. It can be done better.
Wow, this is amazing. In just 1 minute, how about the issue where drivers even feel like they are not enough because, you know, their papers are not complete, you know, so that we don't just, you know, create an imbalanced situation. Some drivers drive without driver's license, without proper. Do you think that's why they just quickly drop the money and then just say, just let me go?
I've trained drivers, hundreds of drivers. I am not an academic. When we talk about human rights, I don't just talk about advocacy and fancy human rights. I've trained drivers, I mentor drivers. Drivers will tell you this. If I have the particulars, I will pay. If I don't have, I will pay. Isn't it cheaper to use that money for particulars to subsidize the money for payment? And it's a tough argument to refute, you know? So you now begin to teach them how to manage the situation that if you have particulars, you shouldn't pay. They'll tell you, guys, they'll waste our time. They'll discharge my passengers, which actually happens. Presently, we're talking with the police in Enugu State. We were able to do it some time ago in Anambra State, where we got the partnership of the CP to stop the delay. Because they will just delay you. It's okay, park. I'll look at your papers. So they'll take the papers, delay your passengers to disembark to punish you for not paying. So it's a tough argument to gloss over. If I have papers, I pay. If I don't have papers, I pay. So why not use the money for the papers
to just
pay? You know, since you know that the paper doesn't really count.
Exactly.
Wow.
So it's a conundrum of some sort. And I think even those security personnel that collect this money should realize that they're endangering even their own lives. Because at this point, people who should have particulars, driver's license and all of that, don't have them anymore. So it means that anybody can enter a car and be driving on the highway, and the person could even kill them at a checkpoint. So I think we need to understand that this is beyond the economic sabotage of increasing the price of goods. It's beyond the harassment we feel. It's beyond damaging our image as a nation. We have become the laughing stock of the global community. Everybody knows that the police collect money openly on our highways. Elsewhere, the countries, the visitors.
It's becoming a norm.
It's not becoming, it's a norm now. It's beyond all of those things. I think we need to get to that point where we understand that if we don't deal with these basics, and I'm challenging the leaders now, I'm challenging the governors who fix roads, the presidents who are telling us of economic revival and economic reform. If they don't fix these things that stare Nigerians in the face, that make Nigerians lose confidence in government and governance, you can't fix a nation without the cooperation, active cooperation and partnership of the citizens. And these are some of the reasons why the citizens have lost faith completely in Nigeria. So while you are pursuing the governors who steal billions, stop the apparent endorsement of corruption by allowing these men to fleece us on the streets.
Thank you very much, Mr. Larry, human rights activist. I can actually see your passion and your drive for this. Thank you very much for coming into this interview.
It's a pleasure and privilege.
Yes, we're going to push this so that the government hears us, of course.
I hope they will listen and do something.
Yes. Well, this is the most we can take on Signature Morning. I'm sure you've enjoyed all the segments we've had to give you. Don't forget you can be a part of the conversations by dropping your comments, by liking and subscribing. My name still remains Joshua Oritogun.
My name is Belinda Nwobodo.
And this is we saying have a wonderful day. Abuja Studio takes you right away.